Okay, so the Deshaun Watson serial predator storyline is still going on, and it seems to have gotten a lot more grandiose since what was it, 2 or 3 days ago when the allegations first appeared. But I feel sorry for this kid, man. I feel sorry for this kid. Not only do I not believe these allegations, I think no one should believe these allegations just because the timing is so unbelievably unfortunate for Deshaun. And it's funny how apparently, this has been going on for quite some time, but we're just now finding out after Deshaun expressed, even cut off communications with the team, but expressed his desire to move on with his life. And now it seems like it feels like this situation is diminishing his value, is diminishing any interest any team had with this dude. You know, it's just it's the worst timing for Deshaun, but it's like perfect timing for the Texans because the Texans don't want to move on from him. They gave him all that money last year because they expected this dude to be the quarterback for their team for the future. Even David Culley, when he was hired, came out and said, "Well, I came here with the understanding that we were going to keep Deshaun." And Deshaun said, "I don't care who you hire. I don't care what they say. I'm not staying. I don't want to stay." And then all of a sudden, like 35 women came out the woodworks talking about what this dude did to him. Like, it's just the worst timing. And anybody with a shred of decency, anybody with common sense can see through this shit. Like, this is the same thing with Antonio Brown. And I keep saying this, all right? And I keep hearing people make jokes about how crazy and how unstable Antonio Brown is. Antonio Brown, besides his excessive celebrations, okay, Antonio Brown for the most of his career had no off the field issues, had no on the field issues. I mean, he did have that one instance where he karate kicked a punter in the chest, but like I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure he took his shots, from when that happened, but after that it was just over. But other than that, man, like the dude for like the first 7 years, I believe. No. Yeah, for like first 6, 7 years of his career, I mean, he pretty much went, without incident. And then all of a sudden, when he was getting tired of being in Pittsburgh, and it was known that he was tired of being in Pittsburgh, he had a strained relationship with Big Ben. I'm pretty sure he had a strained relationship with Mike Tomlin. That's when you started to notice the behavior. Because, at that point, he was fed up. And then the next year, like after the issue started the previous year, the next year, when he had issues with Juju, you could tell he just wanted to get out. And they sent them to Oakland. And I said all this in a video before, but I'm just quickly going over what I was saying in that video and how these two situations kind of make sense, man. Like the fact that the timing is impeccable with these allegations, but sorry. But back to the Antonio Brown thing. He got sent to Oakland. He didn't want to go to Oakland. Okay? He refused a trade to the Buffalo Bills. And I already, expressed my feelings about that and my opinions on that and what I thought actually happened with that. But he ended up going to Oakland. It looked like this dude was doing everything he possibly could. He was showing up late to camp. He was showing up late to practice. I mean, this dude even went as far as to use a racial slur, trying to do everything. It seemed like he was trying to do everything he could to get out of Oakland. And then when they released him, not even a week went by and he signed with the New England Patriots. And then, when these allegations popped up, and they say that Antonio Brown Antonio Brown was removed from the team because he responded, to one of his accusers instead of just staying out of it. Look, when you're accused of something as heinous as sexual assault against anybody, your first instinct is, I need to defend myself. I need to do whatever it is to make sure that these allegations aren't taken seriously. Like, I need to defend myself. All right, and I guess his first instinct was to let the accuser know that he wasn't afraid, he was going to fight it. And they say that that's the reason why he was released, because he couldn't just keep his mouth shut. That ain't got nothing to do with it. When you're being accused, you're going to defend yourself. You're going to defend yourself, especially when it's as serious as being accused of sexual assault. You're going to defend yourself against anybody. But I think it was more of a political move by Bill Belichick for releasing him. Now, with this Deshaun Watson situation, it seemed like, teams are learning. You got to cut them off at the pass. You can't allow them to force their way out and then try to bring up some BS. Like, you have to hit them before they actually get to go anywhere. And this seems like a desperate Hail Mary attempt to keep Deshaun in Houston. I mean, it could be false, and he could actually be a serial abuser or toucher or whatever it is that they're accusing him of doing. He could be guilty of these things. I mean, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying he's not 100%. I'm saying I don't believe it. I think the timing is impeccable. I mean, this dude has been there on that team for 5 years. I don't know how long he's been getting massages, but I would think that if he's been doing this for a while, that the team would have known about it. The NFL at some point would have found out about it. I mean, with everything being as public as it is now and people going to social media for everything, there's no way that nobody knew anything about it until now. All right, with that being said, let's get to this, man.
Today surrounding Deshaun Watson, and the news just continues because right now 6 more lawsuits have been filed against Deshaun Watson, including one citing an incident with a massage therapist from earlier this month. The Texans quarterback has maintained his innocence, saying on Twitter that he rejected a, quote, baseless 6-figure settlement demand, and that this incident is, quote, about clearing my name, and I look forward to doing that. But now
when you settle, all right, like with the Tom Brady thing, when he was accused of cheating or whatever, and he settled out of court, or he just gave up, he didn't want to fight anymore. He had already won his case, but the NFL kept trying him, and he got tired of waiting, and he knew that if he kept fighting it, that eventually he was going to miss the season. Like it would have cut into his time to prepare for the season. So after he won the first time and they brought it back up again, trying to get a second opinion, he just let it go. All right. Some people said it made him look guilty. If you didn't do something, you should have fought it. But he just wanted to play. And for those of us with common sense, we know that dude didn't do anything. Sure, I'm not saying that the team didn't do anything. I'm just saying he didn't do anything. But if you settle in most situations without winning the case, or without something that makes this a prolonged situation that feels like it's never going to go away, or it's going to take years for this thing to be figured out, if you settle because you don't want to prolong it, that's fine. Like in Brady's situation, where he already won his case, but they kept bringing it back up again. If you settle in an instance like that, I don't think you look guilty. But when you settle immediately, like as soon as the allegations come up, it looks very sketchy. It looks bad on your part. It looks like you didn't want to fight because you already knew what the outcome would have been. Now, I think this was a smart move, man. Look, you got to fight it. You don't want to play for the Texans, so time is on your side. You don't have to worry about, preparing for the season. You don't have to worry about being ready because you're still waiting to be traded. And money isn't an issue, so you ain't got to worry about that because you just signed a massive contract last year. So right now, Deshaun is in a perfect situation to sit back and wait this out and see what happens.
Speculating the league could place Watson on the commissioner's exempt list while they finish their own investigation. So, Shannon, should the league do that now?
Yes, Skip, that's a very useful tool. I don't really know how it works in the offseason, Skip. We saw him do this with Adrian Peterson when he was going through his situation.
Yep.
We saw him do it with Ray Rice until they gather more information.
Yep.
Skip, this is not looking good. And if this was a storm, this would be an F4 tornado. This would be a Category 5 hurricane. Because what we have is we have 13 women already alleging inappropriate contact between them and Deshaun, with another 9 on the horizon.
The lawsuits have been filed.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's 13 plus another 9 that's reportedly that's going to be filed. That's 22 different women. This does not look good. Not only does it not look good for Deshaun Watson, it doesn't look good for the NFL. So basically what...
This doesn't look good for Deshaun because of the volume of the accusations. The amount of accusations is what's making this look very bad for him. Because, you know, in people's really short-sighted and not so critical minds, the volume, the amount of accusations make you look guilty. Oh, 22 different women came out. If 22 women came out and said that, how could they all be wrong? You know? And that's what's going to happen, and it's going to sway people. Because right now, is there any evidence? Because you would have to prove what you're saying about this dude is true. See, the one thing I don't like about these sexual assault allegations is that unless there was DNA found inside of you, even then, there's really no way to prove that it was. Well, I'm not gonna say no way, but there's very little that you can do to prove that you were abused sexually in any way. And in this situation where they said that they forced him to touch him and they forced him to do, he forced them to do oral sex or whatever, there's really no way, unless you have it on videotape with audio of these girls saying, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And Deshaun, shut up, bitch, and, get down and do it or whatever. Unless you have something like that, there's really no way to prove that any of this shit happens. So really, it's not Deshaun going to trial for his guilt of action. It's more of guilt of public opinion, and in that case, Deshaun, this is not looking good for him, man. This isn't looking good for him. This dude look like he's about to get screwed seriously bad. His image, whatever endorsements that he might have had lined up, it looks like this dude is going to have a rough road ahead, and that's a shame. How can you win when it's the court of public opinion? How can you win that? You can't control what people think. Sure, you can convince them that you're telling the truth, but if we're talking about how tall is he? Like a 6'3", 6'4" black man quarterback athlete versus I'm guessing petite women who look victimish. Who are you gonna believe, man? The victors are the ones you pity the most when it comes to court cases. The victors are always the ones you pity the most.
What they should do is just say, look, we're going to take a step back. We're going to say, Deshaun, not that he was going to have contact with the Houston Texans, because from what I've told, he's broken off all communication.
Okay.
So that's not an issue. But until we get a better understanding of what's going on, we're going to ask you to step back, have no further contact. You're not allowed to be around the team. The only question I have, Skip, what about trades? Does this prohibit a trade?
No, it can't.
Right. So, but Skip, this doesn't look good. This doesn't look good for Deshaun. It looks bad for the NFL, and I think they want to get a handle on this to try to find out what's really going on. but I don't know if they're going to be able to deduce what's going on by just these lawsuits being filed. Somebody's going to have to go to court. Somebody's going to have their day in court. And we're going to have witnesses called. And Deshaun's going to probably have to testify in his own defense. And these women are seemingly more than willing to testify. Skip, and you try to do this fair because the women deserve to have their allegations taken seriously. They deserve to be heard.
Do they? With the amount of false accusations we've had over, the past 3 or 4 years? With the amount of false accusations we've had, do they deserve it? Do they deserve it? And this is the problem, and this is where we're getting to. Because the volume, like people who hate these false allegations, they're getting tired of this shit, man. Because it's like, there's so many of them. There's so many women, mostly if not all women, who will come out and make some egregious claim. Like there was just who was it? I think it was like I'm not even gonna try to guess. There's so many of them. But there was just a recent case where somebody came out against a public figure, a celebrity, I believe, and said that, there was some funny business going on. T.I., I think it was T.I., just recently. A bunch of women came out and said that T.I. forced them to have sex with him and his wife. It was some weird shit that they had going on in their bedroom. And people started to notice that she was getting paid for those interactions. So it was more of a business deal than it was abuse. So like these false accusations, man, like people are going to get tired of them, and to the point where when somebody really gets fucking abused in some way, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to listen. Nobody's going to give a shit. And then the people that are hurt the most by this are the real victims. And that's a shame, man. And I've said this before, man. Look, I'm not saying that adults can't get abused, but the ones that I am really concerned about, the ones that pretty much go unjustly done wrong, are children who have to deal with this shit. Not some 20, 25, 30-year-old female who decides that she want to wear some short clothes. And I'm not saying just because of what she's wearing that these things deserve to happen. I'm not saying that. I'm saying usually your behaviors and your actions are the cause of why you put yourself in these terrible situations. Not all the time, but most of the time. But a lot of these kids who have no impact on their environment, who are just subject to all kinds of shit, those are the ones I feel sorry for. But let's get to it, man.
But in fairness to Deshaun, an allegation is not an admission of guilt. So you try to be as fair as you possibly can. Try to understand both sides. But let me tell you something, people. These women that are coming forward, and Deshaun Watson's life will never, ever be the same. Deshaun Watson will never, ever be looked at the same. The women, if this is true, they feel violated and their lives won't be the same. If this is proven to be untrue, they're going to say, you are the woman that tried to bring Deshaun Watson down because of guilt, because of greed. And so, Skip, people's lives are forever leached.
That's bullshit, okay? Because there's rarely a time. I can't think of one person that is still to this day, may have jokes made about them or, have been talked about more than the accused. The accused become infamous because of these situations. The accuser usually, after like a month or so, disappear. They fade into the shadows. These women, if it comes out that Deshaun did nothing, or Deshaun is seen as innocent, and these women, I don't even think that they would receive a penalty. If I'm Deshaun, I'm countersuing all of them. If I win this case, I'm countersuing for defamation of character, man. Like, I'm countersuing slander, false. Like, I'm suing for whatever it is I can sue for, and forcing these women to pay for this. Because you rarely see the accuser get in trouble for false accusations. You rarely see them getting dragged through the media. You rarely see these things. It's always the accused that gets dragged through the media, have their image destroyed, and end up having to pay. Or even if they're innocent, their image is still destroyed. But you know, all that other legal stuff, it goes away. But their image is forever tarnished, man.
Forever changed. But the NFL, Skip, I believe if they were to step in and say, Deshaun, we're going to put you on the commissioner's exhibit list. We want you to step back, but because we want to do our own investigation, we want to try to get to the bottom of this to try to get some clarity. But guess what, Skip? Even if they suspend, because at the bare minimum, I think in Article 46, it says a minimum of 6 games. Mitigating circumstances could drive that up or drive that down.
Yep.
For a chance to have Deshaun Watson for 5 years, if he suspended 10 games, he suspended a year. I get Deshaun Watson for 5 years. A team's going to take that.
I hear you. Before I launch on this, allow me to step back for a moment and say, as I've said from the start, I have not enjoyed talking about this story.
No.
I was the biggest Deshaun Watson fan purely as a quarterback on the football field. But obviously, this is becoming a more and more important story that we need to talk about.
Right.
It's not important at all. The person who this story is important to is Deshaun Watson, because this is his life. I mean, this dude is fighting for his life right now, man. I mean, and right now his life is his image, man. That's what's going to make him that money that's going to take care of him and his family and his kids and his grandkids. And this is the money that's good. Like, that kind of money is going to take care of his family for a long time. And as a professional athlete, your image is everything, man. Like, it's everything. This is why whenever somebody want to get some kind of revenge on an athlete or a public figure, you attack the character, man. You attack the idea that people have about this. Because before this situation happened, man, everybody looked at Deshaun Watson as a model NFL player. Like he is what you would want your NFL players as an owner to be like. It's Deshaun Watson, man. Clean image off the field. He seems like a respectable kid on the field. He seems like a team leader. His play is unbelievably phenomenal. This is the standard that you want every player to base their life on, like a life around. Is Deshaun Watson. You want them to base it from the template of what it is this kid is. And what's the one way this kid could be destroyed is if you attack that image, you attack that idea. Now this could potentially keep teams from wanting to trade for him. Because, I don't know, man. I guess it's about appeasing the fans, you know. But we gotta see how this is gonna work itself out. A team may still trade for him. If I'm interested, like seriously, and I need a quarterback, I'm trading for Deshaun. I don't care how this turns out. If he gets suspended, I mean, if he's found guilty, I'm assuming he would have to do some jail time, because there's no way they're gonna let a serial molester of like 20 fucking women walk the streets free. Like, there's no way that's gonna happen. So if he's found guilty, you probably have to do some jail time, I'm assuming. But if he's not guilty, man, if the worst thing this kid has is a faulty image in the public eye, I'm still taking a risk if it means that I could possibly win a championship. So teams may still trade, but we'll see, man.
Because it's a longer and longer line of women who say that Deshaun sexually violated them.
Right.
For anybody out there, I need to know. 20 women. How the hell did this go unnoticed for as long as it went unnoticed? How did no one see this shit? 20 women. The agencies that these women work for, unless they're all private masseuses or however you say it. 20 women. How does no one report this at all? It makes no sense, man.
Or displayed inappropriate behavior.
And this is becoming as stunning a story as I can ever remember in my career.
Yeah.
Because as far as I knew, as far as you knew, Deshaun had a spotless reputation.
Right.
But as you said yesterday...
Is this a stunning story? Sure. Is this the most stunning story? No. I'm pretty sure when OJ happened, like, that threw everybody the fuck off. That whole OJ thing, I'm pretty sure, is probably one of the most infamous examples of just public assassination that we've probably ever seen, but definitely in sports.
So appropriately, maybe there's a Deshaun we knew and another we thought we knew but don't.
Correct.
Off the field.
Right.
And I hark back to the quote from the superstar attorney that Deshaun hired just as the first lawsuit broke, named Rusty Hardin, who's represented so many star athletes, from Roger Clemens to Adrian Peterson, you name it.
Rudy Top Johnson, Calvin
Michael
Johnson.
Bennett.
Yeah. And big corporations.
Yes, big corporations. In his first quote, this was after only one lawsuit had been filed, "I'm real comfortable with the kind of person that Deshaun Watson is. He has a great reputation here in Houston, and the allegations are really inconsistent with the kind of person he is." Or the kind...
That's bullshit. He should have came out and said, listen, it's weird that now somebody wants to step up. And I said this before too. Like, if I'm a judge, I'm looking at timing. Like, when was the first allegation? When was the earliest allegation versus where we are now? And why did it take them so long to say something? Because if this was like 10, 15 years ago, I could see why nobody, probably kept their mouth shut. Because usually shit was kept under wraps and people were silenced in some way or another. But now with this, after the whole Me Too thing and women are God and all this other shit, like, you can come out and say something and have your shit taken seriously. Like, if he did something to a woman within the last 6 months, the first accusation within the last 6 months, and she came out and said something, that's a fine timeline. Okay? That's fine. 6 months is fine. She probably stayed home, had to weigh the cost of making this public, weigh the cost of going after somebody like a Deshaun Watson, who's a beloved figure in the NFL community. This could be damaging to her or her family. I could see, some trepidation for a little while. But if this is an ongoing thing for years, apparently, and there's over 20 women, there's just the timeline itself, man, it's just, okay, all right.
Kind of person we thought he was. So I hark back, the Tiger Woods scandal. It was about...
Which was one of the most unbelievably unfair situations. I mean, all this dude did was fuck random women. That's it, bro. They act like they found bodies underneath the golf courses that he played on, bro. Like, all he did was fuck other women. Cheating happens. Why did they kill this guy so fucking much, man? Like, cheating happens. It happens.
Rampant cheating on his wife, but obviously the sex was all consensual sex.
Correct.
And then I think of the two Ben Roethlisberger incidents for which he got suspended. I think of the one Kobe incident in question. We all know what happened there. I think of Ezekiel Elliott back in 2017. his girlfriend at Ohio State accused him of domestic violence.
Right.
2 police departments had investigated and found no cause to charge him.
Right.
The NFL
Because if an athlete does something like that to you, why wait until he goes to the fucking NFL and gets paid and then you decide that you want to say something? Like, why? Why wait till then? Say something soon. Say something soon after it happened. Sure, to feel ashamed of being assaulted in some way is a valid thing. I'm not gonna lie, it's a valid thing. But come on, bro. Like, some of these motherfuckers, like, they'll say, well, he did this to me this, like in 2016. So why the fuck you wait until 2021 to bring it up? Like, just say something. Even if it takes you a year to work up the courage to do so. Just say something. But the problem I have is, like, if this was like 1 or 2 women, and it's not much. Deshaun has no other character defects that you could possibly lean on to show, how to kind of make people doubt him a little bit, to make it easier for you to make your accusations. Like, it's gonna be hard for you to just come out with you and one other woman. But if it's 20 fucking women, come on, bro. If it's 20 women, come on, bro. It's just, I don't know, man. Like, it's hard for me to get past this because it's like, this dude played his career so far with little to no issues whatsoever. Off the field, on the field. I mean, I just watched something because I remember the whole Richie Incognito thing where he took his shots at Jonathan Martin, and I mean, he was spouting out racist shit. He was spouting out all types of shit, man. Like, saying all this really crazy shit to this dude. And the team came out and said that, well, we wanted Richie Incognito to toughen up Jonathan. Make him tougher. I guess we need our offensive linemen to be tough. Like, I just got finished watching that, and it reminded me of the time when I first heard about it and how I felt about that shit. And it's like, with Rich Incognito, he had character issues his entire career, man. Ever since college, he had his character issues, like serious character defects. But this isn't Deshaun, man. Like, it's not. So far, we have yet to hear or see anything. But I mean, this kid's life is being put at risk, man, because of whatever reason. And I don't want to speculate on the reason, man, because I don't know, but it feels like this shit is manufactured to an unbelievably crazy level. And I wouldn't be surprised if this shit is only coming up just to buy time. Because there's no way, like, you have no evidence. You have no evidence. You would have to prove that he did something to somebody. You have no evidence. So this just feels more like a, what do you call it? Like a space filler. Like, this just feels like space filling shit. It's kind of weird, bro. This is weirdo stuff.
Investigated, and their lead investigator decided that her testimony was inconsistent, and that
Kia Roberts, I think, is her name.
yeah, and she lost her job over this because she basically
defied the NFL.
She stood up
Yes.
and said, "No, I don't see it."
Right.
Lisa Friel is the head of that arm of the NFL and said, we must act here. And even though Zeke won the first round of court, he was finally forced to sort of swallow it all and just take it. And the NFL pointed out that he did have one incident in question when he was standing on a rooftop during a St. Patrick's Day parade, and he reached over and pulled down a woman's top.
Right.
It was how bad.
And that shit was so overblown, man. Only today people get in trouble for that shit. when, like, in the late 90s and early 2000s, Girls Gone Wild was pretty fucking popular, man. And it was a bunch of dudes convincing a bunch of drunk college girls to take their fucking clothes off for money. But that's not a problem, you know. That those guys aren't being rigged through the coals, but you know, fucking Ezekiel Elliott pulling some chicks top down, and I can see if she like smacked them or pushed them or some shit, or the people that she was with kind of like got in the way. But when I looked at the video, it looked like, you know, nothing. Like, it just looked like he pulled the top down, and like, it's a fucking party. Would I let my daughter do that shit? Like, no, but it's a party, man. Like, and from what I see, man, like, I didn't see the girl react in a way that felt violating, so I didn't care. But that's another overblown situation.
That looked.
Correct.
And that was the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back.
And Skip, that was the thing. The NFL says, well, hey, if you do this in public, what?
Yeah, what?
It's fair to us to make the leap
So
that you
it just looked bad.
It did.
And he took 6 games.
What about all this pro-black racist shit that people like bringing up all the time? What happened to Riley Cooper, okay, when he played for the Eagles, and he was on video saying the N-word to somebody? Even Richie Incognito was in public on camera saying the N-word. How come you don't fucking, you know, go after them niggas, man, for that shit? Go after them for that, you know? But they'll attack Zeke. They'll attack Deshaun Watson. They'll attack Antonio Brown. You know? Apparently, and then this is the image that they're painting, is that most, if not all, black men are sexual predators, man. This is the image that they're painting.
6 game suspension. So, to your point, we're up to 13 and counting lawsuits filed.
Correct.
With details in each lawsuit. And I know Deshaun's agent had suggested that maybe there's some fabrication going on here. But after a while, you just sit back and it just overwhelms you. The mountain of this, this building, growing mountain above us all. And Pro Football Talk wrote that it's getting more and more difficult to downplay or explain away the situation, which I agree with. It's become a significant distraction for the league, which I agree with.
Correct.
And at some point, the sheer volume, says Pro Football Talk, of the allegations overpowers the situation. So now there is the exempt list. It's a very broad power that the NFL retains through every collective bargaining negotiation, where you can just say, well, we'll continue to pay you, but all of your activities with your team are suspended.
Correct.
All the exempt list is like a pandering thing, to where they'll tell the victim and the victim's representation, hey, listen, don't come after us. Look, we put them on the exempt list. They're not allowed to talk to the team. They're not allowed to participate in anything football. So don't come after us. We had nothing to do with this. Like, that's all that is, man. But I feel sorry for Deshaun, man. I really do, man, because I feel like this is BS, and I feel like that they're killing this dude's image, because public opinion is what's important when you're in the spotlight. Public opinion is everything, you know. And I feel like this kid is having his livelihood just assaulted before his own eyes, and that's a shame. But that's it, man. I'm done. All right.